clean desk is a sign of warped mind.
Or getting sick of all the notes everywhere.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Got to go through the notes every once in a while, figure them all out.
Yeah. It's
all
amazing
right.
how much more space I have on my desk.
Yeah, it's amazing. Once you clean out all the stuff that accumulates on a desk, it really shows up really well. All right, we are live.
Excellent.
Pre-stream time for the few people that are there out there listening right now and enjoying the show. Okay, we got all that working. Got that working. Let's see what we've got here. All kinds of random stuff for people today. Lots and lots of random stuff. We have a full show for everyone today. Back to normal. 2 weeks of insanity, yep. Back to normal. 2 weeks of shows that didn't go off as fully as planned.
It happens.
Yeah, well, you know, they get over it. They get over it.
Besides, having things out of the norm is more entertaining.
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
That's what I say, therefore it's true.
Yeah, okay.
That's how it works, right?
Sure.
Squirrel!
Absolutely. And then what happens?
Shysters show up and take advantage of people's goodwill and generosity.
There you go.
That sounds about right.
That's what happens. Shysters also always show up, man. Okay, we've got it all rocking and rolling. Oh. All the little bits and pieces. I had nothing today. Yeah, absolutely nothing to babble on about.
Nothing at all?
Nothing really. Well, I've repackaged all my spices for selling at the market, and let's see what else have I accomplished. Started myself several different extracts.
Hey, I have something that I can share with everyone.
Sure, why not?
I figured out a trick. I ran out of allergy medication, so I had a little bit of Dayquil, and it works just the same.
It's probably the same compounds.
Probably, but you know what? Dayquil is cheaper.
Well, you can use Dayquil. You won't fall asleep.
I think I will start using Dayquil. It tastes better, too.
Yeah.
The allergy pills are terrible tasting.
Yeah, well, you're not supposed to chew them. You're supposed to just swallow them.
Yeah, as soon as they get into your mouth, they release the terrible bitter flavor that they are.
Well.
Unless you're taking it with like tea or coffee or something. But even then, it's nasty. But Dayquil, not so bad.
Yeah, well, I use that. I'm working on some tea blends right now for digestion issues. For people that are having digestion issues. I was doing some research on different tea blends, different herbs to mix together. I think I've come up with a combination of 3.
Cool. I know that dandelions are really good to make you regular.
Yeah, well, so are many things like that. I'll have lots of plums in a couple of months. They'll help make you regular. Turn them into prunes, and they can be make you even more regular.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Seems catnip, lemon balm, and mint. Spearmint.
Those are really good for helping tummies.
Yes. Well, blended together. Blended together help with digestion issues. Not just an upset stomach, but digestion issues all around.
Oh, cool.
All around digestion issues. Those 3 together. So I've got to mix up some of those. I think I've got enough. I've got enough lemon balm and mint dried, but I don't have catnip. So I gotta prune some catnip this weekend anyway. So catnip is more.
I had a friend who would drink.
You gotta keep going. I shut up so you could say a friend drink.
Mine would have catnip tea to help calm her nerves.
Yep, it calms your nerves too.
Apparently, it helps to relax you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And combine that with chamomile, and now you've got a sleepy time.
So, yeah, actually, cool.
Yeah. So it's like I'm working on a whole bunch of different tea blends as I'm able to gather all the herbs I need and dry them and get them all prepped.
That's a really cool thing to be doing.
And then I had bought a crap load of tea bags from off of Amazon. They can be reused. What's that?
Botan?
Yeah, botan. Botan.
Is that a word?
It is now. I just invented it.
Okay.
So at any rate, you can buy the empty tea bags, the empty cloth tea bags through Amazon. There's probably other places. Amazon was the only place I could find them readily. And they're not that expensive for 500 of them or so.
Something else you can do is you can take cheesecloth.
Yeah.
And you can take cheesecloth and just cut little squares and then tie it off at the top. I mean, it's a little less pretty, but it looks cool.
Well, I'm going to be selling these things. I need them to look pretty. Got to look pretty. People want everything to look pretty. It's the way it works. All right, it is time for good music. Oh no, we're almost there. We got another 30 seconds before music time. Count it
30
down.
seconds.
I know. 30 seconds is a long time. It really is.
It can. It's really quite amazing how much you can say in 30 seconds.
Yes, I know. See, we've only gone through 10 seconds now and said not a whole lot of absolute nothing. Now we're at 15. You know, it's really kind of funny how it goes.
You know, I have this awesome little fruit fly trap, and all they're doing is hanging out on the edge of it. They're not going into the trap. They're terrible little creatures.
There's no sound on whoever's listening live on us. Somebody's listening live and says there's no sound. Well, turn on your bloody sound.
That's right. I don't see that comment at all.
Yeah, well, it was through my text. Unmute. It's music time. All right, off we go.
Don't claim to know your story, don't even have mouth. In search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. They went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Preacher man discovered, passed down from saint to sage, like a kind-hearted lover who's been lost on this stage. Went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Texan dancer, Lord knows where I belong. Went missing down Highway 49.
There's no sound. Can't be.
Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time.
I know.
Chucky and the Chigger just seen who done the crime. Captain pulled the trigger, guess who's doing time? They went missing down Highway 49. Devil's at the crossroads. Is he yours or is he mine? search for glory, gone with them sacred rules of old. We're missing down Highway 49. Devils at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Devils at a crossroads, jokers doing fine. Just sitting doing time.
Yeah, I've got sound. I got sound coming from the YouTube channel. See? There it is. So there's sound from the YouTube channel for me.
Sound from it for me as well.
Okay, so we have sound. We're good. All right, that's it. Let's wind this puppy up and get ourselves launched. Off we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress plugins A to Z, not Z.
Run for the hills. It's episode 520, and we have plugins for social stickiness, getting back on top, custom invoices, changing email, speeding up MySQL, and ClassicPress options, all coming up on WordPress plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress plugins from A to Z. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the brewery overlook in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I'm John Overall, and with me is the ever lovely
Amber Overall.
And the new magic number is 66, July 1st, the new magic day. Trust the plan. Before we get too far started here, we are back with the Q&A segment with Amber at the end of the show. Make sure you hang around for that. It does get split in two. You know, half of it goes to those of you listening to the podcast, and the other half sticks only for those that take the time to go watch the YouTube video. And if they've already heard the podcast, just scroll all the way to the end. With all of that being said, this one is for me once again.
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
All right. This is number 28 of 52 episodes for 2021. It's episode 520. And if you haven't gotten outside and gotten at least a little bit of a tan by now, grab your shoes and get out there. If you really can't get outside for an extended walk, at least find a spot near your house just to sit in the sun. Bring your lunch outside and soak in some of that vitamin D. It will help you feel more energetic, and it'll help you feel more relaxed. And remember that when you're drinking water, you also need that salt in order to hold on to that water in your body. Add some salt to your lemonade. You can't taste it in lemonade, and it works really well. I think we should probably enjoy the summer as much as we can, because we haven't had a summer like this in a very long time, and we may not get another one for a long while. And on that note, don't let the social media /news wreck your day. Turn it off for at least an hour, especially while you're soaking up the vitamin D. I'll bet you a beer will help. Rinse and repeat as often as needed.
Absolutely.
Please, can everybody be quiet? Please be quiet. Shut up! Thank you. And now the WordPress news with John Overall.
Amber. All right, I do have one piece of news that you didn't get in there, and hopefully it's stuck. Yeah. Oh, somebody rewrote it on me. All right. This one here is for those of you who haven't gotten all the emails where you're a manager of a website. WooCommerce has patched a critical vulnerability for every single version of WooCommerce that's running from version 2.5 to 5.5. And you need to run the update, and they've made it easy so you don't have to update to the latest and greatest WooCommerce if your WooCommerce is running well, which upgrading sometimes is a real pain with WooCommerce. So they've just made it so that it will auto-update if you've got auto-update set. If you don't, you just go in, click Update this version and it updates to the security patch for you. And you'll want to do this as quick as you can because this is a major security vulnerability. They haven't let anyone know what the vulnerability is because they don't want hackers to start taking advantage of it until everyone's had a chance to patch it. So
Makes sense.
it's a good article from the tavern, and I started seeing the notices a couple of days ago and started going through the sites that I do manage and updating the WooCommerce in them. So that's my piece of news. The rest of it, over to Amber.
I'm surprised I missed that.
Yeah, well, it's just started like Monday is when it started pouring into everybody.
Yeah, sometimes I miss things. Glad you're there. That's why there's two of us.
Yeah.
So the first one I've got is Gutenberg 11.0 has over 70 bug fixes. So I believe this is what's coming up, not what's already in the works. But this has a lot of good things coming to the fore for Gutenberg. So people have a bunch to look forward to. I can't remember the different things that they are updating. I had them, but then I forgot them.
Okay.
There we go. If you go down a bit, theme and template editing mode changes, and there's some other bugs for the different like blocks and things, like drag and drop, and yeah, they're looking to fix a bunch of different things that are going on with Gutenberg. So hopefully, all these bug patches will actually work out for the better.
Excellent. Well, let's hope it works out for them.
And then query loop block to come. So this I found very interesting. I didn't actually know much about it until I read this article. And in the next update of WordPress, they have a query loop block coming out. Mm-hmm. And what it does is it'll keep the loops at bay, which is supposed to help you with your SEO. And it's supposed to make it so that things don't loop back over and over. After reading about it and learning a bit about it, it seems like it'd be really useful to have this as like an instantaneous option. So that should be pretty cool. Hopefully it doesn't blow up in our faces.
Well, you never know.
The next one I have is InstaWP launching a service for disposable WordPress testing sites. This is pretty cool. So essentially you get to have a short-term website where you get to test everything, and then afterwards you just get rid of it.
Yeah, there's been a few of these services over the years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did they just never stick?
They didn't stick. That's what happened. They didn't stick because, you know, it's multiple reasons why, I'm sure. I mean, I considered doing one, but it is basically a place to go check out a bunch of new plugins and stuff. But it takes time to set everything up and see what you're doing. You know, and then you have to convert it over to your new site. And so there's lots of reasons why this stuff is kind of crazy, but it is a good service.
Like a pretty neat idea.
It is a good service and it is a good idea. And it can be very useful when you need to test out something in a hurry and you don't feel like setting up a local WordPress or something on your own server. So.
A nifty idea. Next I have WordPress fixed their Google issue. So they were having issues where an in-site page was showing up on Google whenever people were searching for how to download WordPress. Mm-hmm. And they were having all these kind of issues. I don't know if this is like super important, but there are some pretty amazing SEO tips in this article if you're looking for those kind of tips.
Oh, okay.
So I thought this would actually be a pretty useful article to bring up. They talk about the issues they're having, what caused the issues, how they fixed it, and other things that can cause this kind of issue where people start searching for something on your site. And instead of, like, for instance, instead of getting how to download it, they got some kind of internal page that talked about WordPress. So this article goes through and helps you to understand why it happened, how they fixed it, and you can take that information and apply it to your own if you're having the same kind of issue.
Oh, okay. Well, it would be something useful, especially if you're big into the SEO stuff.
Mm-hmm. And last one I threw up here for the regular news was Facebook and AT&T are teaming up for an augmented reality experience. I just thought this was really cool and very interesting that Facebook and AT&T are teaming up for this. I don't think it's going to be affecting anything in a negative way, but because they're going to be doing this, it could affect their networks because they're kind of mixing and meshing in a few different ways. So,
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, that's two crazy people playing together and having too many beers at the same time. Is basically what I see that mess. All right, and there are a bunch more news articles that didn't make the cut to be hollered out about, so make sure you go check out our show notes to read all about that stuff there.
I'm just going to read a couple off. Things in the extras are things like Tips Tuesday with Manna, and Mario Brothers 3 is now in a museum. I'm feeling kind of old now. Just interesting things like that are in the extras.
All right, go check them out, folks. All right, this is where we get to the point here where we like to recognize the producers of our show.
It's time to donate to WP Plugins A to Z.
We're looking for your time, talent, or treasure, and we like to acknowledge those that start off first by providing some talent. This week here, this is, I think, pretty much the last of the artwork we have right now. So our artists out there, we really need some new artwork. You know, I'm going to have to create next week's artwork if some doesn't arrive. And, well, it's not nearly as good as what the artists do. I just don't have...
No, artists are definitely better. And this is really cool,
This
by the
one
way.
here is really cool. This is the one, Run, Scream, Run for the Hills, man. I think it's from Scream or something like that. I don't remember.
I think so. I'm not sure.
But anyway, it's pretty cool. I like it. You know, it's the green, creepy kind of vibe. You know, get out of town, run away quick. So I like it. And, oh, shoot, I completely forgot to put the right credit in there for this one.
Whoops.
Because I wasn't paying attention this morning when I was doing the notes. Let's go in here. Let's go in here. This artwork here, you can go to see the artwork, and we can see instantly who did the artwork, and it came from Angel Lamu. So thank you, Angel. Greatly appreciate it. So we need to change the credit in the show notes
All right.
to Angel Lamu for the artwork. Make sure that gets done. So thanks a lot to those that provide their talent to us. We've got 3 or 4 artists that submit us stuff on a semi-regularly basis. It'd be cool to get a whole bunch of artists fighting over who gets to have their art up each week instead of letting us run out of art.
That would be cool.
You know, the other thing we got to talk about is for those that provide their treasure. And that's donations to the show. We've got a couple of small donations that occur on a weekly or monthly basis. Those are greatly appreciated. It means you still appreciate the show. The money never gets into our pockets. It does help offset the costs of the show, which it does cost to run it. You know, we got server expenses, time expenses, etc. So a big thank you to those. Anyone who wants to get a holler out on the show, just donate $50 or more and give us a note. We will read it all out on the show. That's all it takes, $50 to get right here, front and center. Make it an ad. Cheap ad, man. You know, cheap ad on the show, $50. Or
I like it when people say hi.
Yep. Well, do like it when people send us notes and say hi. We greatly appreciate that. And of course, the other thing is for time. We do need time. And thanks goes out to Charlie for helping to get our contests all organized up. He contributes time to the show. And anyone who has time they want to spend, we need someone to manage this art generator, which I've put together. And it doesn't run nearly as smooth as it should because I don't have the time to get into it and deal with it. So at any rate,
hang on a second. I have to interrupt. I'm not seeing any of what I'm seeing on your screen on the YouTube.
Oh, you know what? We forgot to change screens. Nobody even bothered to tell me. We got people listening to the show, and they didn't even bother to tell me that we are still on the countdown screen. Come
I don't
on,
pay
people.
attention to the YouTube, so I'm surprised I even noticed it.
Yeah, well, we had somebody who was complaining about no sound, and then they didn't tell us that we hadn't changed screens. And the reason I missed the screen changeover is because I was dealing with the sound.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, you know. Sorry, everyone. You kind of missed the different things we've had up so far.
Well, let me bring back the artwork. There we go.
Yeah.
There's the artwork, because those on the YouTube get to get the preview, because this art doesn't get published until after this show goes live later today. So if you're listening to the YouTube version, you get the preview of the artwork and what it's going to be for today's show. So there's a nice, we already described it, but take a good look at it. All right. So, and a big thank you to those that provide the time. And again, if someone has the time to donate to the show for the art gallery, please donate that time. It'd be greatly appreciated. All right. it is time for us to run into what everybody comes here for, into the depths and depravity of plugins. All right, ClassicPress options, just the usual stuff this week. We don't have anything. We're keeping this open. So anyone out there using ClassicPress, send us some stuff and we will get it into the show. WordPress plugins, we do have those this week. First one I've got for you. This one here is a really cool plugin, but it can be extremely deadly. So beware if you use this. This is called Index WP MySQL for Speed. Before you use this plugin, make a backup of your database and all your files, and then make another backup of your database and all your files, and put them in 2 different folders so you know where they're located. What this plugin does is it goes in and it makes a change in your database. It goes in and changes the keys in the database, adding some database keys to make indexing faster for your website. And it does work, and it is a permanent change. If even after you use this plugin and run the plugin, you could turn the plugin off, deactivate it, and uninstall it completely. Those fixes are permanent because it makes changes to the database itself. It adds new keys to the database for indexing. This could be a very useful thing if you've got a big website, lots of posts and pages and content, because the keys for WordPress aren't all that effective for searching up information when a call is made to display the stuff on your website. This will help you out. Great plugin. I really like it. Free plugin. It does things to your options, your post meta, comments, user meta, and more. So go check this one out. It is called Index WP MySQL for Speed, and I give it a 5 dragon rating.
So maybe you might want to think about doing a wee bit of research before you try using this plugin too, eh?
Yeah, well, like I said, make a backup, and then you can just restore. That's why you make backups before you use something like this. But it's a really great plugin, and it can really help you out, but use it with care.
First one I've got is Contact and Social Sticky Bar. I have to admit, I was a little dubious when I first saw this one. It seemed like one of those plugins that would tell you how easy it was to use, and then you go to use it and it's actually a pain to use. But actually, it did turn out really easy to use, and it's really pretty, actually. I really like it. It's a sticky bar for the top, and you can put any content you want into it. You can put content in just the left, just the right, in the center. You can put different content on either side and center. You can change it up the color of the font of the bar. You can make the bar bigger, smaller. It's a pretty amazing sticky bar, actually. I really like it. Very easy to use and totally free. So if you're looking for an easy sticky bar plugin, give this one a go. I rate it at 5 dragons.
All right, go check that one out. Okay, the next one I've got for you is called Custom Content for Invoices for WooCommerce. Now, this is a brand new plugin, but it's one that could be very useful for you. What it does is it adds a new content blocks to your invoices that are generated for your WooCommerce site. So after someone's ordered something and the invoice is sent out to them, it adds these 2 blocks that you can use to put promotions in, add discount codes for people, add other promotions, promote other products, do all kinds of multiple things with it to help sell more after the sale has been made. Relatively easy and straightforward plugin to use, and sets up pretty easily, and then it puts things at the top bottom of your invoice that is sent off to people once they've ordered on your WooCommerce website. So go check this one out. Really great little plugin, free plugin, custom content for invoices for WooCommerce, and I give it a 5 dragon rating.
That sounds like it could be really useful.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to make its way into the Rogues Tavern.
Nice. Next one I've got is Rotom Navigator. This seemed like a really interesting idea. What it's meant to do is it's supposed to add an anchoring to all of your H2 headers. I thought that could be really useful. Unfortunately, they don't work with Elementor or a few other different things. Specifically Elementor, I had an issue with. When I activated this, I could no longer open my post that I'd open in Elementor. It works fine so long as you're not using anything except WordPress itself. So I think it would probably work fine with Gutenberg. But this is something that I think the creators maybe should have mentioned, or if they're not aware of it, then hopefully they'll take note of the message I sent them and they'll put up a warning that it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I wasn't really able to try it out too much, but I would give it a rating of 3 dragons.
Bummer. Okay, the final one I've got for you here, and this is a pretty useful one. At first I didn't realize what it was until I looked at it and checked it out. But if you've been around WordPress for any length of time, once upon a time with WordPress, changing the admin email address was a breeze. You go in there, change the admin email address, save it, and you were done. Well, somewhere around 5 or so, they made it so if someone changes the admin email address, a authentication email is sent out to the previous admin email. And while that can be a good thing, it's also a pain in the neck, especially if you've got an inherited old site where it's got an email address from some developer and they put an email address in there that's not even a valid email anymore, or they created some random email, because this happens on these sites. You need to get a proper email in there. Well, getting that validation to okay it and change it can be a bit of a pain sometimes. So what this does is this reverts it back. You can go in there, install this plugin, activate it, go change the email address to what you want, deactivate the plugin, and you're done. Really cool, useful tool that could save you some grief and some headache down the road if you run into it. Go check it out. Admin email address changer, and I give it a 5 dragon rating.
That's interesting. I wonder how that works.
Yeah. It just bypasses the stuff that WordPress has. Pretty much everything in WordPress can be turned off.
That is useful. The last one I've got is Sticky Back to Top Universal. These guys have just an awesome opening for their description. It's honestly what caught me and why I ended up deciding to give it a go. And I was playing with the settings, and it's amazing, so easy to use. And you can literally choose any color you want for your little back to top sticky button. Like it has one of those color grids where you just move the little cross and you can have any color you want. I haven't actually seen that in many color options for plugins. They usually give you like a selection of colors and that's it. There is also a little area just to the right when you are playing with the settings that gives you a preview of what it will look like. There's different arrows, different sizes, so many options. I love it when plugins give you the complete ability to totally personalize whatever it is that they're giving you. This is a totally free and pretty freaking awesome plugin. And if you're in the market for a back to top sticky button, check these guys out. I rate it at 5 dragons.
Pretty cool, but it's nice because the back to top button I do use from time to time if I run into it on a website and it's got a really long page.
Yeah.
Which many sites do. A lot of them. All right. We do actually have a listener question this week. This is actually a question that got skipped for a couple of episodes because I forgot about it.
Oops.
And it relates to a question 2 or 3 episodes back that Amber had brought to the table on behalf of a listener. And it goes, thank you. Hi, John. Thank you and Amber for reading my question regarding Sites Portfolio on the air the other week. It was after I listened and I wasn't really asking the question the right way. So I thought I'd bounce them off you directly. What I mean to ask was question 1, if you have a graphics business and you want to start doing websites, WordPress for people, how have you gotten your clients? Number 2, I realize it's an open-ended question. Obviously, you've been doing this for a long time, so you have a large number of sites, showcase, blah, blah, blah. And side business in Talus, restoration, etc. So anyway, the question here we talked about, starting getting the clients. Well, I actually started getting my clients by going out in the community and giving WordPress training courses to people. Is how I did it, and just going to meetups and meeting people, because a lot of people that go to meetups and stuff are do-it-yourselfers, and after they get into it for a little while, they'll hire you for small things, and as you prove your worth, eventually they hire you for everything. And that's how I got started, was just doing that, getting out in the community, meeting people, talking to people, and then promoting online and getting referrals. Most of my business now is all referral. So hopefully that answers your question, Greg. Thank you much. Oh, question 2. Is there a big market out there for WordPress websites and therefore developers? Yes, there is a big market out there. The question is WordPress websites encompasses a lot of different things. You have specialized websites, you have specialized functions in websites, you actually got to figure out what little niche in WordPress you want to function on now, you want to focus on now. It's not so much general. You need to be focused on things a little bit more sharply than it used to be.
Your alter ego mentions also BNI meetings.
Yeah, well, BNI meetings didn't get me a hell of a lot of business for my web design and hosting business. It got me a few clients. That BNI is a thing that is great for consumer products more than anything else, is what I found. Trying to remember what it was, but it didn't help my web hosting. It helped my computer store. It was really good for my computer store, but it didn't help in my web design business. All right, contests.
It's a contest. WordPress plugins from A to Z. Stop for free!
All right. Our contests are powered by the Simple Giveaways plugin. They kindly provide us with a premium version for our contests. Go check out this plugin. It's really great. Thanks to Steve Goodtime, Brant Matthews for the jingle. Greatly appreciated. Another talent that supports the show. And one more thank you to Charlie for getting all of this organized. Now, we do have a contest that starts today. And when I did the notes, I wasn't sure it was going to be there because we were a bit behind in getting the write-up done on it. But first off, last week's contest for Bloxy. Congratulations to David Y., the winner of the lifetime license for Orderable. Thank you, David, and thank you, everyone who participated in the contest. There was quite a few people who registered for the contest, so make sure you go check it out. Now, we do have a new contest up, and it is called Perf Matters. Okay, we are given a 1-year unlimited license valued at $149 to Perf Matters. A really great plugin. I haven't had a chance to fully test it yet. I'll be bringing a review to the show next week for it. I just didn't get the time this week to install it and test it. It is a premium plugin. You got to go check it out at perfmatters.io. And if you want to hear everything about this plugin, I did an interview with one of the developers from it, Brian Jackson from Forge Media. The interview is now live in the on the website and in the podcast feed. So make sure you listen to the interview with Brian Jackson from Forge Media, talking about the Perf Matters plugin. It was a really great, nice, not too long interview, about 20 minutes or so, but we did get an understanding of what this plugin does, how it helps speed up your site, and how it's different from all of the other plugins out there, and how it works well together with caching plugins. Because this one does some things a little different. It's not a caching plugin, but it enhances caching plugins. So go check this plugin out. Really great one. Or you want the license, make sure you go enter the contest, which is now live on the show. And all we need is your name and email address. The giveaway starts out real soon. It was supposed to have already started, but better check the settings on that. So we'll make sure the settings on that are functioning, and the contest is running July 22nd. Oh, well, I started it this week instead of July 22nd. All right.
That'll be fixed.
I had a rough day today getting everything fully organized. Things were a little off kilter.
Kilter?
Kilter. Thank you. I like keter better. That's a pretty cool new word. All right, so that's our contest we've got going here, and that wraps all that part up. We're going to be jumping into the Q&A segment here in a second, but let's wrap up a couple of quick things. Plugins I covered this show is admin email address changer, which I gave a 5 to. The custom content for invoices for WooCommerce, which I gave a 5 to. And then the WP MySQL for speed, which I gave a 5 to.
And I covered Contact and Social Sticky Bar, which I rated at 5. Rotom Navigator, which I rated at 3. And Sticky Back to Top Universal, which I rated at 5.
All right, now, reminders, there are no meetups. There was a sort of a meetup last week, but nobody showed up, so, well, too bad for you. I may try and plan a meetup actually in August of some sort. It'll be an outdoor meeting because I like to be outdoors on the weekends because it'll be a weekend social kind of thing. So that may come down the pike. Keep aware of it. If you don't get enough of Amber and me, make sure you go check us out on the Rogues Tavern. Every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, we go live on YouTube, and you can pick up the podcast over at Man, I'm just having an enunciation problem all over today. At theroguestavern.com. You can check out the podcast too. All right, it is time for...
It's question and answer time.
What, Amber?
So if anybody out there has any questions that you'd like me to ask, send them to me at amber@wppro.ca, and I will get them into the segment. So my first question for you is, do you know anything about working on sites offline?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So how does that work?
Okay. Sites offline means you're developing locally on your computer. Offline means not accessible to the web. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, okay, let me rephrase. How do you do the offline work? Like, do you have to download into your computer, into the hard drive, or what do you do to do the
downloaded into your
offline?
computer, your hard drive, and what you need is a program called Desktop Server. Desktop Server is something you put on your computer, which installs a local version of a server. It installs a local version of MySQL, which you need to run WordPress. And it sets up all the parameters you need for running a local WordPress website. And Desktop Server is a very useful tool. It's not cheap. It costs about $190 a year or something. But if you're developing offline, you're developing locally, Desktop Server is literally the best way to go. It works very, very well. I've used it a lot. I haven't done it in quite some time. Your next question on that is, what do you think the kinks would be in getting the work you have done offline to online? Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually not that hard. It's like moving a website from one server to another. You copy the files from your local computer to your website. There's also programs that you can set up to where you can just push the data from your local computer to your live website. You know, much like the program we use for pushing the post from one website to another every week. There's programs that allow you to do that from your local development and push everything. I actually have a full license for that, and it's Database Management Pro or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of the program, but I have a license for that program because I use it a lot, and it allows you to push all the content from one WordPress website to another.
Neat.
So there's lots of ways to deal with that and lots of ways to manage all of that. So it's not that big a deal. It's just a matter of, some people like developing offline and then pushing it live. I just found it just didn't work for me. I'd rather work in the live environment, because sometimes what works on your computer doesn't work on the server, and sometimes what works on the server doesn't want to work on your local computer. It's the same problem of, website from one server to another. What works on one server sometimes doesn't work on another server for whatever variable reason is set up in the individual servers.
That makes sense.
It used to be everything used to work once upon a time, but in the last 5 years, there's been more incompatibilities inserted into the internet, I think.
All right. That's really good to know. My next question is, okay, so faster internet would be good, but how fast is fast enough? I've noticed that all the big tech companies are kind of in a race to get better broadband and satellite internet. Do you think more satellites will accomplish their goal, or is there something else that has to be done in order to speed up the internet or get it reaching further or whatnot?
Well, the internet has a major bottleneck. No matter how fast they push the data over the lines, it's still limited by the routers.
Okay.
Okay, you've got between your computer and any given website, that data may pass between, well, it'll pass between 4 to maybe upwards of 30 routers or more on the internet. And some of the routers on the internet are old. Some of them are new. It's like, that's one of the biggest bottlenecks. I mean, the fastest internet they can do is fiber optic. That's literally the fastest they can go. Satellites are slow because they're slow because it has to go through the air. More satellites isn't going to help that, except by splitting the data streams and transmitting the data over multiple streams. They've done a lot to the internet. Like, I remember the internet back when it had 300 baud. And for those of you that don't know what that means really super slow.
Oh, like taking 2 or 3 days to download 24 songs.
Yeah, no, more like taking a week to download a 1 meg JPEG.
Oh, okay.
It's like we're talking slow. Data was, but they're just trying to make it faster and faster because they want people more and more on the internet. But they have to make it faster because we're pushing more data on the internet. They want everything connected to the internet.
Yeah.
They want your toilet flushing connected to the internet. They want everything connected to the internet.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah, well,
I can only imagine the toilet deciding whether or not it needed to flush for you.
Yeah, well, that's where it's going sometimes. It's really sad. All right, so, there's just, accomplishing their goal is just a matter of technology, and they'll find ways to get it faster and faster. Eventually, they'll hit a wall because they can only push it so fast. It's like the speed of light. The speed of light will only go so fast. They can't make it go any faster. And the same will happen with the internet.
I have 2 more questions.
Okay, read them out and we'll split it off right here.
Okay. The first one is a bit longer because it's actually something a listener mentioned to me. Listener said, even if you have the gigabit internet, it really depends on your devices whether or not you are able to grab more than 300 megabits per second. And then there is also the matter of how many devices you have pulling from your internet at the same time as to whether or not you are able to use much of that gigabit internet. So my question for you is there a way to help your lower end computer in grabbing more internet, basically upgrading, without having to spend nearly an arm and a leg, or your firstborn child, in actual tech upgrading? And then my next question is, I've noticed that there are a lot of jobs for coders lately. I can't help but wonder if we're starting to lose people for creating computers, like we did with radios and VHS. What's your take on that?
All right, good questions, and we will get to those after this.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa2z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsa2z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page using wppluginsa2z.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA2Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.
Alrighty then. Okay, last couple of questions, and we'll wrap it up for the day. All right. He's right. If you have a gigabit internet, it does depend on devices and the number of devices connected as to whether or not you can use it to its maximum. And 300 megs is that 300 meg download speed is actually a limitation set by, or not, our upload speed is a limitation set by Shaw. And even the max download speed, your max download speed should be one gigabit. My computer pushes about 750 megabits download. So I'm not quite getting there. And upload, it caps out at 500, which I think is my max upload. 250 or 500, because they cap your upload. They won't allow you to transmit any faster. A lot of these limitations are built into the router itself. I used to have a very old Shaw router that you could go in and fiddle with and remove those caps. Unfortunately,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, they did away with them routers. They made them so they didn't work on their network anymore. I kept mine for as long as I could because I was bypassing their stuff. I used to be really good at bypassing stuff, but they've made it harder and harder now to bypass everything.
Yeah.
So
why do you think they have those caps? Is it to equalize the internet, or
it's to balance the load?
Okay.
It's to balance the load. They have these caps to balance the load because you'll get. I don't do it anymore, but way back in the day, I was one of those people that would suck all the neighborhood bandwidth for downloading songs from Napster. So I'd suck all the neighborhood bandwidth while doing that, and then everyone else wouldn't get any bandwidth. It happens in a house when all your kids start watching movies and you suddenly notice what you're doing on the internet is suddenly slower because they're sucking up the bandwidth. There's only so much bandwidth. Think of bandwidth. Bandwidth is like water in a hose, okay? And the nozzle at the end is how much water gets let out of that hose at any given amount of time. And the internet works both ways, but just think of it that way. If you get a hose, you take the nozzle off, that water will flow at full speed that the hose can carry.
Yeah.
But if you get a bigger hose, you can get more water. Think the difference between your garden hose and the hose that firemen use.
Yeah.
It's way more water flows through the hose. Same thing. Because you can get the same pressure as a fire hydrant, because it's still city water. So it'll still have the same base pressure, but more will flow through a larger hose. And that's what happens with your router, is limitations there. And then what happens is the same thing like building out my micro irrigation system. I have to carefully set everything because if everything goes on at once, nothing gets water because there's not enough water coming out the hose to feed all of the sprinklers at one time. And that's the same thing with your router, is if you got multiple devices and everyone in the house is watching YouTube videos or TikTok or movie or playing a video game online, you get
what's left over.
You get what's left over, and that's what happens with it. Now, to help lower-end computers getting more internet, there's really nothing you can do, because the limitations on lower-end computers is the modem that is built into that computer. If you can replace the modem in the computer, that's a relatively cheap fix. If you have a regular computer, you can go buy a new computer or a new modem that plugs into the board. But if you got a laptop, you can't replace the modem. You can buy external modems that work through USB, but USB still has its own limitations. USB has a maximum data transfer speed on its own. So you're adding a new port with data transfer limitations. So there's no way to do it. The only way to do it if it's a laptop is to get a newer laptop. But if it's a desktop computer, you can go buy a new modem card that has a higher data transfer, and then you can get it for your computer that way.
Your alter ego mentioned something. TELUS doesn't limit your up and download speeds as you have direct connection, whereas with Shaw, you share nodes.
Yeah. All right.
It's good to know.
I'll believe that when I see it.
All right. The last question.
They all limit it. All right. Your last question
is I've noticed there are a lot of jobs for coders lately. I can't help but wonder if we are starting to lose people for creating computers like we do with radios and VHS. What is your take on that?
Probably. There's fewer and fewer people that build their own computers now.
Mm-hmm.
I still do because I want a computer to do what I want it to do. So I build my own computers. The vast majority of people go into the store and say, I want a gaming computer. The salesman goes, this one right here is a gaming computer. It comes with every slapstick piece of software you could ever not want to use. Here you go. Have a good day. And then the video cards are okay, or they're lower quality, or they're not as fast. It's like, yeah, there's not as many people doing it. Coders, there's always been a need for coders. It's just now we need even more coders, because the reason we need more coders now is because there's more code being written now, because you've got an app for everything now. Mm-hmm. You know, and plus you need to, there's websites that need custom coding done, and you know, the need for code is pretty endless right now. So I don't know if they're stealing the ones for computers that build computers, not so much. I think it's just that people no longer care what is inside their computer. All they care about, it's like they got a phone now, you know, and you can't build a phone. You can't manually build a phone from components. Mm-hmm. You can only buy one that's fully assembled that you can't get into and look at to see what's inside there. You can't even get to the batteries on them anymore.
I remember being able to just get an extra battery, and then every time my phone died, pop in the next battery.
Yep.
I remember being able to do that. That was actually nice. I missed that.
Yeah, those were the good days. That was the way you could actually, you know, disconnect your phone and it truly couldn't be tracked, because it actually turned off. Like now you turn off your phone, it's not actually off.
No.
It's still simmering there in the background. So yeah. I don't think that it's stealing computer builders for coders. I think it's just the industry has killed itself. The same way the repair industry has killed itself by building throwaway items.
Makes sense.
All right, well, that wraps it all up. I think we'll call it at that. Thanks everyone for showing up. Greatly appreciate it. And make sure you go check us out. A little bit of Days of Thunder to get us off and running.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. Feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging
righty. That's all we got for you now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Adios, mofo.